where I started getting noticed by Microsoft, and I got email from Microsoft people, and they said that they want to uh, you know get me into this MVP program. But nowadays, like, it's when other fellow MVP can do the submission for you. So if they will see,
Okay.
like, somebody will notice that if you are doing good work, and you can they can notice you, or they can submit your, or maybe you can also approach if you have done very good work and you have lots of community activity. So it's like complete 1 year. So okay, so when we submit that nomination, they see the complete year, how much activities you have done. Okay, so all these are taken in the consideration, and you fill on the MVP portal. And then I think it's takes like 3 to 4 months to review all these, and then after that they declare their result. And now we get in every quarter, right? So that's how it's basically for Microsoft
Nice,
MVP.
nice. And then now I think you'll be soon become a regional director because you're already in good number of years in the program. We are waiting for that update soon.
Okay. So you want to start now?
Just a
Or do you need
second.
to?
I'll just promote it in social media. Rachit, how we were seeing all your updates on YouTube for the Tech Divas, right? Is that the one?
Yeah, I
Dynamic
started this
Dynamic
initiative
Divas.
last year, Dynamic Divas. Yeah.
Yeah, it was very good initiative to see
Good work.
the
Yeah.
ladies
Yeah.
how they're excelling in the Microsoft world globally. And how was
Yeah,
your
it's amazing
experience
to
on?
see all those journeys. Like even I learned a lot by talking to Dynamic Divas and like a lot of women leaders in this space.
Correct.
So definitely, it was a learning journey for me as well. But that playlist is quite inspirational. Like if you want to watch it and share it in your network, feel free to do that.
Yeah,
It's
we have
really,
done it
yeah,
immediately once you
yeah,
have posted it.
yeah, yeah. Thank you.
And we are waiting for more updates from you. You, by any chance, you are doing any more podcasts? I know
Yes,
you
there
you
are
manage a
plans.
user group.
Yeah, there are plans. I was quiet for last few months because of parenting got returned in my life. Like I was taking care of a newborn last few months, so couldn't spend much time on community activities. But
Congratulations.
looking forward to
Congratulations.
start it again. Thank you. All right, I'll hand it to Mahinder. We can start with this presentation now.
Sure.
Thank you.
Mahinder, you can start presenting.
Okay, so I'm sharing. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay.
So hi everyone, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are joining from. So today we are doing our session 22 from Dynamics 365 UGME, implementing business logic using low-code plugins in Dataverse. And we have our speaker, Mahinder Paul. Mahinder, can you go to the next slide, please? And today we will start with our group introduction, and we will let you know about the today's session and then what is our upcoming session. So the disclaimer, views expressed are from the speakers and do not represent views from their employers or Microsoft. Contours or demo data and lab environments are used for these events. Any recommendations coming out of the session should not be applied directly to production environment and should be tested in a sandbox environment. The session will be recorded on Teams, and if you do not consent to be part of recorded session, then this is the good time to disconnect. Next slide, please, Mahinder. So you guys can reach out on our social media channels, and this group is managed by me, Venkatesh, the leader, and is also supported by Umesh, our volunteer. And we are growing fast, and we have 1,200 plus members globally and increasing. You guys can use the QR code and join us on the social media. That is our LinkedIn page and YouTube channel and website. Next slide, Mahinder, please. And these are all our past sessions. You can access them through our YouTube channel. And after this session, also, this will be uploaded to the YouTube channel. If you guys didn't get chance to join us on live, you can access this through our YouTube channel as well. Next slide, Mahinder, please. And today's session is implementing business logic using low-code plugins in Dataverse. Mahendra is an MVP in this program, and as we just now discussed, he is 11 years in this program. Very happy to host you, Mahendra, for this session. Next slide. Yeah, Mahendra is a principal consultant at Himbap, and he has 16 plus years on Microsoft technologies, and he is Microsoft Business MVP, and he's C Sharp Corner MVP, and he has authored 3 books on Dynamics CRM, and he is a well-known speaker globally on many community events. Thank you, Mahendra. Thanks for accepting our invite and joining us on a weekend for enlightening our community with right knowledge. Over to you, Mahendra.
Yeah, thank you, Venkat, for giving me this opportunity, and always welcome on this type of opportunities. Thank you, and greeting everyone. So today, as Venkat said, that today we are going to talk about that low code plugin. So this is a new feature uh, which is not released for that for production use only, but at this point this is only preview. That when we have something on the preview, it means it's a experimental feature. So you can check those, what are the features on there. You can use this on your sandbox, and Microsoft can do some changes on that, or they can release to the production, they for the general availability, okay, depending on that. So it's still in the preview, so not recommended to use on the production. Okay, so as I said, like today we are going to discuss about the low code plugin. We will see how we can utilize low code way to implement that business logics to your Dataverse. So we'll start with the basic introduction on that, and then we will see what is the life cycle of the writing low code plugin. So just like if you are writing on the .NET plugin, so we have different steps that we need to follow. So what are the main step here on the low code plugins that we need to follow? And then we will go through with the Dataverse Accelerator app that we use for writing our low code plugin. And then we will have a quick view on the Power Effects. And then we'll see how we deploy these type of low code plugins. And then we will have a quick demo on this. Okay. So So low code plugins are basically, a new way where we can write our business logic using a new app that Microsoft has provided, that is development, Dataverse Accelerator app. Okay. So in this app, we have different options where we can, create different type of plugins. So we can create on-demand plugins, or we can create the plugins which is basically associated with some event. Okay, so we can have different type of event. For example, we have create, update, or delete. So let's say if we want to run our business logic on the create of record, so when some record is created, I want to perform some kind of calculation, or I want to perform some kind of transformation on the record, then we can use these event plugins. Okay, and similarly on the update and delete as well. Okay, and these low code plugins are basically as you know that now in Power Platform, we have a concept of low code, no code. So what we are, most of the things now is shifting from the pro developers to the citizen developers, right? The citizen developer are basically, we can say that, who don't write code, so they design that application, and they use the low code approach to design those application and build those application, which is basically, it can be differently based on the different requirement. They can build on the Power Platform, like whether it's a Power App, whether it's a Power Automate, right, or whether it's a model driven app on the Dataverse. So those type of thing can be done from the citizen developer. So these low code plugins are basically meant for those people only who don't know .NET code, but they can build that logic and they can apply that logic to their application. Okay. So as this is part of the Dataverse, and we have lots of connector, as you know that if you already working with the Power Platform, you know that in the Power, Automate, or in the Power Apps, we can use different type of connector, and we can connect with the different sources to get the data from there. So Same thing, the same feature we can utilize in our low code plugin as well. So we have a support for the different connectors, whether it's a, Dataverse that is there by default, or whether it's a SharePoint, or whether any other connector that is available. We can utilize those connector and we can utilize those data and perform our logic on the apps. Okay, so that what we have is the low code plugin. So life cycle. So as I said that in writing these logics, so we have a particular step that we need to follow. Okay, so now the life cycle terms, it's a basically a very broad term. So we can have, while writing this business logic, we have different steps that we need to follow, right? So for example, like if you got some requirement, so first thing is that you analyze that requirement and you see that, okay, so these requirement can be fulfilled using the out of the box customization, or you need to write some code on that, right? And then after that we start looking into that, what code we need to write on that, like we want to write a .NET code or we want to write a scripting code, right? So there are different steps that we need to follow on the life cycle. But I have just mainly main point, the 3 points that I have mentioned here is the first is the database accelerator app. Okay, so this is the app where we use as a designer to writing these no code plugins. Okay, so if we want to write the .NET plugin for Dataverse, we need to use the Visual Studio, and Visual Studio, under that we write our assembly and then we register those assemblies, and then we can, that assembly become part of the Dataverse. And then that when we are, associating those plugins with some event, when we will do those event, our plugin will run. But here, this Dataverse app, we use this as a designer. We design our low code plugin here and we save it, and that's it. Okay, so we don't need to specifically go and register somewhere on that. So this is already part of the Dataverse. You just need to write and save it here, and you need to configure it, of course. Like if you want to create on demand or event based, so which solution you want to use, if it's a bound to some entity, or you want to create a generic one which is not specifically bound to any entity, so those type of thing that you configure on the Dataverse accelerator app. Okay, now the next thing is that now we know that, okay, this is a designer where we can write this, but what we write under that, so that's the next thing is the power effects. Okay, can you please mute your mic? Okay, so the second thing is the power effects. Okay, so power effects, that is earlier, we used to call it the formula language, but now we call it power effects. So here we write a very simple expression just like we used to write in Excel. So these are basically, the initial idea is taken from the Excel only, that we should have some kind of very simple expression that we can use to write our logic. Okay, so power effects is where basically we write that expression, and these expressions are basically based on our requirement. So whatever requirement you want to do, like you want to query some data or you want to do some kind of transformation, all those things are basically used on the power effects. And then we have the deployment. So deployment is when we write that our this low code plugin, so they are part of the solution. So under that we have this power effects expression, and from there we can do that deployment. So these are the high level steps. Now we will go through in detail on these individual steps. So first thing is the Dataverse. So here you can see that this is basically the designer. So when we will go to this app, it will be landed on this page. So this is the home page here on this. So nowadays, this is basically by heart, it's a model driven app. Okay. So, and this is mostly available on all that environment nowadays. But if it's not there, we can go to that our environment. So You can go to that admin portal. Under the admin portal, you can select your environment, and under that environment we have an option, right, for Dynamics 365 apps. So when we will click on there, it will show all these apps that you can install or you can set up for your environment. Okay. So there we can select this app and we can configure this app into our environment if it is not there. But if it is all there, you can directly go ahead and use it. You need to keep in mind, you need to have at least system customizer role to use this app, so that you can access this app and you can write your logic. So you can see here we have these different options that we want to create an instance plugin. The instant plugin is basically kind of on demand, and or we can if you are already familiar with the Dynamics 365, you know that we have actions, right, where we can create our custom plugin actions, and then under that action we can write our code. So these are basically same only. The instant plugins are basically that kind of actions only, where we can write bound or unbound actions. So we can design this here, and then it can be used from our Dataverse, or we can call it from the Power Automate as well, that we'll see on the demo. And the second option that we have here is the to creating the event based plugins, and these event based plugins will be associated with our events create, update and delete. And just like this, in .NET plugins, we have different flexibility there. We can pass the parameter. We can, use different kind of input output variables. So those things can be used here in these plugins as well. Okay, so we can have input parameters and output parameters. We can take our entity, and from that entity we have different options are available. So just like if you are working with some record, the current record, so that will be considered as a new record. Okay, and if there is you are doing some kind of update. Okay, so you have some existing record and you are doing some kind of update to that. So the new changes will be referred as a new record, and the old changes will be referred to as the old record. So using those set of keywords, you can access the properties of your entity. So if you are familiar with the images, so we have image concept in the .NET plugin, so like pre-image and post-image. So it's those kind of thing that is available here, and we can use those to perform these plugins. And then we can do the monitoring. So there are options that we can see the monitoring there, that how it's behaving, how it's if there is something wrong with that, we can debug that. And we want to call it, we want to check that, we can also do those kind of thing in there in this app only. Okay. Okay, so now Power FX. So as I said that the code, the expression, I will say the expression that we write in our low code plugin is the using Power FX. And earlier, as I said, this was known as a earlier formula language, but now they changed it to the Power FX. And this is the mostly commonly used here. So you can see that all the apps that is part of the Power Platform. So whether it's a Canvas app, or whether it's a model driven app or the Power Automate, we can write those expression using Power FX. Okay, so if you are building the Canvas app, all the expressions are basically written using the Power FX only. So whatever action you want to perform, so you want to set up the gallery, you want to get that current record, or you want to do the lookup filtering, everything that is we do it using the Power FX. In the model driven app, we use the command bars, right? So we have a command buttons where we let's say you want to add one button, and on click of that you want to perform some kind of actions. These command buttons we earlier used to known as a ribbon buttons, right? So now we can do those kind of thing using the Power FX. So have that button and perform different actions on those. And then in the Power Automate, well, you are designing your Power Automate, you use expression to work with the record, the current record, or you want to access the different type of data using different connectors. So there we use our Power FX. So this is as I said, commonly used expression language here now on the Power Platform, and that's what we use for writing our low code plugins. So now this, if you are already working with Dynamics, the typical question that comes into the mind, that what is the difference between this here, between the low code plugin that we are writing using the FX, or something that we are writing with the .NET plugin. Okay, so one thing that I will say that this is first thing is that the complexity. Okay, so these low code plugins are basically meant for the simple moderate logic only. So if there are some simple calculation or simple operation that you want to perform, then you go for the low code plugins. Whereas the .NET plugins are for the complex business logic and performing that. Like for example integrations, or if you have a different complex logic requirement for your business, like working with multiple entities, doing multiple set of actions, and you want to do different actions based on the different checks. So those are basically we use the .NET plugins. Okay, and deployment wise, so it's basically that is already part of the solution, so you don't require much on that. So you can just simply do that deployment from this uh, solutions only. But while on the other hand, if we have the .NET plugins, so you know that we need to write .NET plugin on the Visual Studio, and from once our Visual Studio code is ready, our assembly is ready, then we need to deploy that using different tools. So for example, we have a plugin registration tool that we use, and through that we register up our this assembly to our uh, Dataverse, right? So that required .NET knowledge. Okay, and the performance wise, this is for lightweight task only, where it is optimized for high performance. So where we required high performance, then we go for this only. And for the flexibility, we have very limited set of functions that we can use, and all the functions that is part of the Power FX. So we have different functions that is available, which we can use for different functionalities. All, like for example, string functions are there, for number functions are, date functions are there. So all those type of things can be used here. But here this is fully customizable SDK capabilities, right? That we can write our own custom or .NET code. We can create our custom method, and based on our requirement or functionality that we want to implement, we can write code as it is, right? And this is deployment. As I said, that this is can be done from the solutions deployment as well. And this is also this in this one, like both the things. So when you deploy your .NET assembly to Dataverse, that is also part of the solution. And similarly, this is also when we write that, this is also part of the solution only. And through the solution, both the things can be done, that deployment of the both the options. And then use case, that this is for the basic validation, basic field updates, whereas this is for the advanced integrations and custom business logics. Okay, we have very limited extendability here, but in the .NET we have full extendability that we can use. And this is the one thing that I said earlier, these are basically meant for the citizen developers who are basically don't know how to write the code, or they don't have knowledge of any programming language. And these are for the pro developers who are uh, who have knowledge of .NET, and they can write the .NET code. So these are the thing that can be written for those type of person, and this is for the kind of functional persons, and they can do customization and all those. So that's what we have here on the Power FX versus the .NET. Now, the deployment. So once we have this low code written here, so you can see that this is basically that I have one solution here. I have created one solution called custom low code plugins. And under that, you can see that here we have a FX expression. Okay, so all the low code plugin that you write, that is part of the FX expression. So you can use the add existing option, and then from there you can select the fx expression, and it will show you all the low code plugin that you have written into your Dataverse environment. And if you want to deploy this onto the next sandbox for the testing, you can do this using the solution. Okay, so you add this on there, and then you can whether it's a part the solution, you can create a standalone solution, or you can create a patch of your existing solution, and then you can put it there, and simply you can export it as a managed or unmanaged. That is depending on that your requirement, what you are doing into your environment. You can deploy this to your environment and put it there. Okay, so that's how we do the deployment. So that's the quickly thing that I want to show you here on the PPT. So now let's jump into the demo, and I will show you here. So this is my environment here, and if I go here on that, I can see that we have app. Okay, so we can go to the maker, app maker, app studio here, make.powerapps.com. And when you will go here under that tab, you can see here. So we have this Dataverse accelerator app. So when we can accelerator, you can click on this here, and then it will open that app for you. Okay, and you can see, as I said, that this is a model driven app. So if you will click on that, you can see all the tabs that is part of your environment. Okay, so just like we can open any other app, this app can be also opened from here as well. Okay. Now under this app, now we can see here that this is, as I said, that this app is used as a designer for the low code plugin. So we can see we have different options are there, that what type of plugin you want to create, and what type, if you want to do monitoring and all those, that can be done from here. And here we have mainly two categories, that instant one, where we can create that on demand, and then we have the automated one, where we can associate it with the some event. Okay, so if you click here, so you can see that these are that existing one. If I click on this, so by default, if you want to click here, you can see that we have an option where you can click on this, that if you want to create what type of plugin. But if there is already one plugin, so let's take an example that these are that out of the box, a plugin. As you can see that this is created by Microsoft, just an example. So if I want to modify this, I can click on that edit, and it will open this. And you can see here that this is basically for sending that in-app notification. So we have, you can see that we have these different parameters. So we can, create different type of parameters. So these are different, just like, all these are basically coming from that actions only. So we have integer, decimal, float. When we can create entity type, entity reference, or entity collection. If you want to send multiple entities, then we can use these type of parameters. So these are basically the parameter that is there. So these are basically input parameter, and similarly we can click here, and we can add that output parameter that we want to perform, and what type of output parameter will be, we can define its type as well. Okay, so let me this here. Now here you can see that we have this our expression written here, basically to send that notification. So this is the expression that is here, which will write the title, and that lookup command is used for doing that, checking that email, the current users. So this is the referring the user table, and then the primary email equal to email, and then you can provide this the body, and then it will create this in-app notification. Okay, so that's the expression here. And if we go here on that advanced option, we can see that it's showing that, okay, this basically is part of this particular solution, and this is a prefix of that solution here, and then the name and description. And here what I was referring that if this is a bound to some specific entity or it's not bound. So it's basically unbound one here. Sorry. So we can see this is a global one. So it means that this is not related to a specific entity. It can be used with any entity. But if you select this entity, then it will become as a particularly related to that entity only. Okay. So that's here. Let's go back here. So let me show you one here, one demo. So let me edit this. So this is one I have created. Let me do one thing quickly here. So this is Sales Hub app. So we know that now we have this account table, and under the account table, we have different type of records that we can create here. Now, if I go here and if let's say if I click here, I'm writing some name here. Let's say if I'm writing here. Okay. So let's take an example that when user entering this data in the account name, I want to change it to the sentence case. Okay. So that every word first, letter should be capital. So let's say whatever we are writing here, mm, let's say the user is writing something like that. Okay. So I want to perform some kind of automation here that automatically when this record is saved, I want to take this account name, I want to read this and I want to change this to the proper case. Okay. So for this requirement I have created one instant plugin here. As you can see that I have these two parameters. Okay, so I have taken one input text parameter, and that is the string type. And then I have another one, which is output text parameter, and that is the type of the string as well. Okay, so for this one, I have simply used this expression. So my output text here, this one, and under that I'm using this proper. So that's the method where which basically which accept the text and then it convert into the proper sentence. Okay, so I'm using this option here to change this to the proper sentence. So that's what I have created, a simple instant one, and I have created the name of this is the convert to sentence case. Okay, so that's the plugin that I have used here. So let's take an example that if I want to test this here, so if I click on this test, if I'm writing Mahinder Pal, and you can see here that it is changed to the proper case and I can test my plugin, low code plugin here itself. Okay. So the input text is basically the input parameter for my low code plugin. So I pass this information that, okay, this is the value that I want to pass you. And then in the output text, it is returning as Mahinder Pal. Okay. So this is how, and we can see that this result is here. Okay. And now if let's say I want to use this one. So if I go back here, so as I said that once we create that these low code plugin, this can be used in the other applications as well. Okay. So now I said that I want to change this account name. Okay. So let me go ahead and let me here show you one flow that I have created, this Power Automate. And this Power Automate basically I have used here for this one where I'm changing this, I'm reading that account entity and then I'm using this as a output parameter to set it. Okay, so let me do one thing quickly here. Let me just quickly create it. So I'm taking this when a record row is added. So it means the record is added here. And I'm taking this edit, or I can take that added or updated. So it will be like added or modified. And then here I'm selecting my accounts because I want to use the account table. And then I'm selecting my scope of this that when to run it. So it will go like this. Now, what I want to do, I want to perform that action, right? So I will go ahead here. And then here we see that we have a different options here: performed a bound action, performed a unbound action. Okay, so our action, that is this the low code plugin that we have here, that is not related to any specific entity. So I'm going to use this unbound option, that I want to use unbound option here. And when I will click on this, I will be able to see all the unbound action that is part of this environment, this particular environment. So these are all out of the box that is here, right? So if I will go ahead and I will select this convert, so I can see here that this convert to sentence case, that is the name of my instant plugin that I have created here. And now it required the input text, right? We had one parameter, so we have this one. So what I want to pass, I want to pass that account name here. So I'm saying that, okay, take that account name and perform your action. So this will go ahead and it will perform that action. Now, after that, what I want to do, I want to use this account, that updated value, and I want to update my account record, right? So I will go ahead here. So update a row. I will say account, and then I will say unique identifier. So that is there. And now under that account name, as you can see here, that this is that action that I have used, performed an unbound action. So I will select this one, and this is showing as a output text. Okay, so now this is as the output text. So I'm done with this here. Let's name it. I'm saying change it to the proper case. Okay, and I will go here and I will just do the, this will just to make sure I will disable this so that those should not run it. So this is done now. And now here I'm writing this as a Diksha Consulting, and I will save it. Now it will call, based on this record action that is performed on that account table. It will go ahead and it will execute my Power Automate here, and then it will change this into the proper sentence case. Okay, so as you can see there, this is now changed to the proper sentence case, and it is executed, and it sent that parameter, and this parameter got changed, and it sent me the back that, okay, this is the back of this. So this is how we can write our instant plugins, and we can use into our Dataverse as well as into other apps as well. We can use in the Canvas app, we can use in the Power Automate as well. Okay, now next is the automated. So automated is just like we used to write our .NET one. So if you here, you can see that I have created one. Let me just show you that once. If I create here automated one, then I will show you. So when we want to create a automated here, we see these are options. So let's take an example. This is demo. I'm just writing it. I'm not going to create it. But here, these are the list of the table that is part of your Dataverse environment. And you can select, okay, on which table you want to create this plugin. Okay, so you can select, for example, you want to create for account lead. So depending on the requirement, you can select that. And these are the different options that when we want to run our low code plugin, when on the record create, or when the record is updated, or when the record is deleted, right? Depending on that, and then here we can write our expression, the power of expression, that okay, what action we want to perform into that here. And then you can see that if you are familiar with writing .NET plugins, then you will be aware of this as well, that we can write, we have these different pipelines that is available there, that we can write the pre-operation or post-operation, right? The pre-operation is something that your data is not part of the Dataverse yet. So it's before saving the data into database, our logic will run. The post operation is that your data is already stored into the Dataverse, and after that you want to perform some kind of action. So normally these type of thing we use for any kind of validation, and these type of thing that okay, the record is created now. After record creation or updation, we want to perform these set of actions. So for example, if you want to pass data from one entity to another entity, or one system to another system, so for those type of thing we use this here. And then you can select okay, which solution we want to use. So you can take different solution from here, and depending on your solution you can select that okay, I want to create my low code plugin under this solution. So that can be done here. Okay, so this is that. Now let's take an example that if we know that here, that out of the box, when we create our different entities, so we have out of the box duplicate detection you can say that this feature is there on the Dynamics 365, or you can say Power Platform or Dataverse. So we have this feature that is available. And let me show you here. So if you go to the advanced settings, so under that data management, you can say that we have that duplicate detection rules. Okay, so when you click on that, so here we can create different type of rules basically to check that if the record that we are creating and there is already duplicate record exist for that or not. Okay, so those are these type of thing that is here out of the box, we can configure it, and we can say that okay, if the account with the same name created, then with the account with the same email is created, with the account with the same phone number is created. So these type of thing that is there. So let me go ahead and show you here. So this is Diksha Consulting. Now I'm going to create new account, another one, and I'm writing this Diksha Consulting. So you can see that here, that it is showing as the duplicate duplicate report found, because there is a duplicate detection rule published here. Okay, so but it is just a dialogue, and you can see that it's saying ignore and save. So if I will click on this, it will go ahead and it will save this record, and now I have two record with the same account name. Okay, so earlier, if we want to enforce the user that no, you cannot create a duplicate record, then we had to write the plugin. We had to write the .NET plugin code here, where we need to, write the .NET code, need to query that account entity, need to check that if there is any, record there with this name, and then stop them creating that. You cannot create it, right? It won't let them save that, just like it's allowing us to just ignore and save, and we can save it, right? So let me go ahead and delete this now. Okay, so now back to this low code plugin here. But you can see that I have created a duplicate detection, type of plugin here. So to check the duplicate one. So if I will click here, edit one. So under that account, we can see that we have a account number, right? So let's take an example that I want to implement that here duplicate detection based on that account number. And I want to say that if that account number is already exist, so let's take an example 101. So 101 is the account, name, that is number available for this particular account. Okay. So if user is trying to give the same number again, I want to stop them and they should not be able to create that record. So that's the thing that they are doing it here. So here, as you can see that I have created this plugin on that account, and I am, as you know, I have associated this with the created, and then here I am simply checking that if this account number exists and check that if this account is not part of any of that existing account. Okay. So as I was referring that you can see that we have a concept of new record. So new record is basically the record that I am creating. Okay. So if I want to refer any property from there, I want to use this new record, and then under that new record, I can use that account number. So if you are, familiar with the Power Apps, so it's similar to that, like this record. Okay. So that we use here, and I'm just displaying this here. So let's take an example here. So I'm going to create now new account record. And if I will say 101, and it will show me this error that this account number, already exists. So I'm just displaying this message, but this message can be configured. We can configure this message here. So whatever message we want to say, we can configure this here. And then if I will say okay, you can see that if I close this, this record is still unsaved. If I want to click on save, it will again show me this option. So it means that it won't let the user save this record until they will correct this option. So if I will say select this is that, then it will allow me to save this record. Just let me check if this record is not already part of the system. Okay, so this is already there. Now let's go ahead and use some other number. So now it is, allowing me to save. So now you can see that instead of writing the complex, plugin in the Visual Studio, I can simply design my event based low code plugin, and we can simply write this expression here where I'm checking that, just check that if in under that account, if the account number equal to the new number, and that just to make sure that they are not matching with the same account, and if it is there, then display this error message. Okay, so you can simply, this type of logic, that implementation can be done using the low code plugin, and that will here stop just some effort that you used to write the code, and this is very time saving, I will say that. Okay, so this is just an example of a duplicate detection type of thing, but there are different type of other requirement where you can write this type of plugin and you can save ton of time. Okay, now let me go ahead and let me show you here. If I go to solutions, so this is a low code solution, and under that low code solution, you can see that here we have this power fx expression that I have taken here. But if I go ahead and if I select here, if I click here, I can see that there are others expression that is created that is also part of this here. And if I want to, include them into my solution, I can go ahead and do that into my solution. Okay, now this solution is basically just like we can, traditional solution. I can go ahead and export this solution and can deploy this to the another sandbox environment. Yeah. Okay, so that's what I wanted to cover today for the low code Dataverse plugins. Venkit, over to you.
Thank you so much, Mahendra, for an insightful session. I hope everybody has very good learning to take away. And please let's have a Q&A if anybody has a questions.
So this question, yeah, I see there is a question that it's going for the GA. So there is no news on this yet, that when this will be released for the general availability. So this is not there is no, as per my knowledge, there is no information yet on this. But of course, this will be on some wave. When some wave will come, then this will be included on some, because this is a long-term feature that is there. So that's we don't have the information yet.
Thank you for the session, Mahendra. I think you covered a lot of things. It was really nice and a learning experience.
Thank you, Rachit, for your kind words. And definitely, it was an eye-opener for a functional like me to understand how the power effects and things works on the Dataverse side, and also understanding the CRM a bit. I'm not an expert on CRM, but yes, I'm putting a hands-on from my past projects, and it was really an eye-opener for. Thanks, Mahendra. I'll definitely buzz you for some more questions on this. And guys, you can reach out to Mahendra on LinkedIn if you have any questions as well. And I hope we are good to wrap this session. Thank you so much, Mahendra, for your time over the weekend. Thanks everyone
Thank
whoever
you.
has taken their time on weekend and joining us.
Yeah,
Please
thank you.
do follow us on the social media. We have given the links, and you will be seeing our further events happening. Thank you so much. Thanks everyone. Have a
Thank you
nice
very
weekend.
much.
Thank you,
Thanks. Bye.
everyone. Thanks,
Thank
Venkatesh, for
you.
organizing. Bye.
Thanks, Richard.